Origins and expansion. The relentless invasion, how wild boars took America. A quiet menace. Dawn spills a soft gold across the pine forests of the Texas Hill Country. From a distance everything seems calm, dew on the grasses, mist rising from a slow river. But beneath the silence, something is moving. Hooves churn the soil, snouts root through the undergrowth, and a low grunt breaks the still air. These are not deer or native elk. They are wild boars, powerful and clever invaders whose story begins centuries before this morning. Today, more than 6 million feral hogs roam the United States, spreading into nearly every state except a few in the far north. They destroy farmland worth billions of dollars, unravel delicate ecosystems, and challenge anyone who tries to stop them. How did an animal that isn't even native to North America become one of the continent's most destructive forces? The answer lies in a complicated history of human ambition, accident, and underestimation. 1. The first footsteps, Spanish pigs of the 1500s. The tale starts in the early 1500s, when Spanish explorers arrived on the shores of Florida and the Gulf Coast. Alongside soldiers and missionaries came domestic pigs, tough, low-maintenance livestock ideal for feeding expeditions. Hernando de Soto's 1539 expedition is often cited as the moment feral swine first touched the North American mainland. De Soto landed with at least 13 pigs. Within 3 years, eyewitnesses recorded a herd of more than 700. Those pigs were hardy and adaptable. Explorers released them deliberately so they could breed and provide food for future voyages. Some escaped, others were turned loose intentionally to graze. With no natural predators and abundant food, populations multiplied. By the 1600s, semiferal swine were common from the Carolinas to Texas, long before the United States even existed. 2. From farmyard to forest. Through the 17th and 18th centuries, settlers continued the practice of open-range pig farming. Hogs roamed forests by day and returned to pens for feeding at night. Inevitably, some never came back. Unlike cattle, pigs need little care. They eat roots, acorns, insects, anything. Escaped pigs quickly reverted to a wild state. Generations of free-ranging herds grew larger and more aggressive, developing the thick coats and sharp tusks we associate with wild boar today. Early colonial records describe razorbacks, lean, wiry hogs so numerous that entire communities organized seasonal hunts just to keep crops safe. Local ordinances tried to control them, but the animals' intelligence and fecundity kept them one step ahead. 3. The 20th century twist, European boar imports. For centuries, America's wild pigs were mostly feral domestic swine. That changed in the early 1900s when wealthy landowners imported pure Eurasian wild boars for sport hunting. These European boars were bigger, stronger, and more aggressive than the feral pigs already here. They escaped game preserves from New Hampshire to California, mingling with local feral populations. The resulting hybrids combined the size and cunning of wild boar with the high reproductive rate of domestic hogs, an ecological nightmare. By the mid-20th century, sightings of these hybrids spread across the South and Midwest. Hunters loved the challenge, but farmers soon faced an escalating war. 4. Anatomy of a survivor. Why are wild boars so unstoppable? Their biology is almost purpose-built for expansion. Reproductive power. Females can breed at 6 months old and produce up to 2 litters a year, each with 4 to 12 piglets. Omnivorous appetite. They eat roots, crops, carrion, small mammals, even young deer. Keen senses. Acute smell and hearing let them detect danger before humans can get close. Intelligence. Studies show feral hogs rival dogs in problem-solving and memory, allowing them to avoid traps and learn hunters' patterns. Combine these traits and you have a species that can double its population in less than a year if left unchecked. 5. Mapping the spread. In 1980, wild boars occupied about 17 states, mostly in the southeast. By 2000, they were in 28. Today they roam in at least 44 states, from the pine barrens of New Jersey to the rugged hills of California and the snowy forests of Oregon. Climate change, milder winters and longer growing seasons, has only accelerated this march northward. Scientists use GPS collars and aerial surveys to track sounders, the tight-knit family groups of females and piglets. One tagged sow in Oklahoma traveled over 40 miles in a week, crossing rivers and highways with ease. Such mobility makes containment nearly impossible. 6. Voices from the front line. They're like ghosts, says Mike Carter, a third-generation farmer in eastern Texas. You might catch them on camera at night, but by morning they're gone, and your field looks like it's been plowed by dynamite. In Georgia, Peanut farmer Angela Bird recounts losing $70,000 worth of crops in a single season. It's not just the food, she says quietly. It's the hours, the sweat, the hope. You wake up and it's all torn apart. Feels like someone burned your house down. Such stories are repeated from Florida citrus groves to California vineyards, each a reminder that this invasion is as personal as it is ecological. 7. Ecological earth movers. A single sounder of wild hogs can uproot an entire acre of land overnight. Their method, called rooting, is a relentless search for tubers, worms, and grubs. Snouts churn soil a foot deep, flipping it like a rototiller. To a casual observer it may look like messy gardening. To ecologists, it's devastation. Native plants lose their hold as roots are exposed. Seeds of invasive weeds find perfect new soil. Nesting birds like the ground-dwelling bobwhite quail see their eggs destroyed. Amphibians suffocate in silty ponds as loose earth clouds the water. Dr. Hannah Kramer, an ecologist with the U.S. Forest Service, calls the pigs biological bulldozers. They change a habitat's chemistry, she explains. When they disturb soil, nutrients leach faster. Streams receive sediment spikes. In just a few seasons you can watch an entire understory collapse. 8. The billion-dollar price tag. USDA economists estimate feral swine cause over $2.5 billion in agricultural losses every year. That figure includes destroyed crops, corn, rice, peanuts, soybeans, broken irrigation lines, damaged fences and levees, diseases spread to livestock such as swine brucellosis and pseudorabies. The hidden costs are harder to tally: soil erosion that lowers yields for years, water contamination that forces municipalities to upgrade treatment plants, and the constant psychological strain on farmers. I've lost sleep for a decade, says Kansas wheat grower Delmar Hayes. It's like farming beside a slow hurricane you can never stop. 9. Weapons of the hunt. States have tried almost every legal method to contain the onslaught. Night vision stalks. Hunters equipped with thermal scopes prowl fields after dark, when hogs are most active. It's dangerous work. A cornered boar can charge at 30 miles per hour. Helicopter operations. In Texas and Louisiana, sharpshooters use helicopters to cull large sounders across remote ranchland. The technique can remove hundreds of hogs in a weekend, but populations rebound within months. Corral traps and smart gates. Modern Judas pig systems fit a captured hog with a GPS collar. The animal is released, then leads hunters back to its companions. Smart gates trigger only when an entire sounder is inside, reducing the chance of half captures that scatter survivors. Despite these efforts, studies show that 70% of a population must be removed each year just to break even. Few counties reach half that rate. 10. The science of adaptation. Why do they resist eradication so effectively? Behavioral ecologist Dr. Jerome Linfield explains. Feral swine exhibit cultural learning. When a trap fails or a hunter approaches, the survivors remember and teach their young. Within a generation a local population can become trap-shy or alter its feeding schedule to avoid contact. Thermal drones reveal sounders shifting feeding times to deep dusk or pre-dawn hours, even in areas that once saw midday activity. They read the landscape as if it's a chessboard, Linfield adds. Every pressure we apply, they counter. 11. Human collisions. Wild boars don't confine their impact to farms and forests. Suburban encounters are rising. In 2024 a driver near San Antonio swerved to avoid a 200-pound hog and rolled his vehicle, causing a 4-car pileup. In Florida, residents of gated communities report lawns rolled back like carpets overnight. California hikers increasingly post videos of sudden boar charges on popular trails. Animal vehicle collisions alone cost an estimated $1 billion annually in damages and medical bills. 12. Cultural shadows. Across history, humans have both feared and revered the boar. Ancient Celts viewed it as a symbol of courage. Samurai in Japan called it the whale of the mountains. In the American South today, the boar straddles a similar dual identity, pest and prize. Televised hog hunts and reality shows glamorize the chase, while local festivals celebrate feral pork dishes. Some chefs argue that hunting for meat turns a problem into a resource. Yet widespread culinary demand could encourage breeding, a paradox that alarms wildlife managers. 13. Climate and the next frontier. Milder winters expand the hog's range. Research from the University of Saskatchewan shows that feral swine survive -30 degrees Celsius cold by sheltering in cattail marshes and feeding on frozen corn stubble. As northern forests warm, Canada braces for its own crisis. Early surveys already detect super pigs in Alberta and Manitoba, crossbreeds of domestic pigs and wild boar even larger than their US cousins. Dr. Kramer warns. Once they're established, you don't remove them, you manage them forever. It's like trying to ring a bell. 14. Toward the edge of control. Despite billions spent, eradication seems a fading dream. Some states now focus on containment, keeping hogs out of critical water catchments and high-value crops. New genetic tools, such as contraceptive baits or CRISPR-based sterility, are under study but face ethical and ecological hurdles. We have to decide what level of wild pig population we can tolerate, says USDA Coordinator Evelyn Marquez. Because total elimination across a continent this size? We're past that. 15. Lessons from the front lines. In states where the fight has raged longest, local ingenuity shapes every strategy. Texas funds county-wide hog bounty programs, paying hunters a small fee per tail turned in. Some counties host hog roundups, bringing together farmers, helicopter crews, and trappers in 48-hour blitzes. Florida has created rapid response task forces with wildlife officers, farmers, and volunteers sharing real-time maps of sounder movements. California, where strict firearm laws complicate night hunting, emphasizes advanced corral traps and cooperative ranching networks. Despite these efforts, population curves flatten only briefly before rising again. The adaptability of the animal, combined with fragmented property ownership, makes coordinated action a constant challenge. 16. Diseases on the move. Feral hogs are not merely destructive diggers, they are mobile disease reservoirs. Swine brucellosis can infect domestic pigs and humans, causing fever and long-term joint problems. Pseudorabies, actually a herpes virus, threatens cattle and sheep. Leptospirosis spreads through contaminated water, infecting people and pets. Veterinarian Dr. Carla Neeson recounts a 2023 incident in which a feral sounder infected a 400-head cattle operation in Oklahoma. Within weeks we saw weight loss, reproductive failure, and a cascade of secondary infections. The cleanup cost $500,000 and months of testing. Public health officials now view feral swine as potential vectors for future zoonotic outbreaks, another reason the stakes extend far beyond agriculture. 17. Human resilience and innovation. Faced with relentless pressure, communities respond with creativity. Drone reconnaissance. Farmers in Arkansas use thermal drones to map sounder paths nightly, adjusting trap locations in near real time. Community hunt nights. In rural Alabama, families gather for dusk to dawn hunts, turning necessity into a kind of festival. Local schools schedule hog holidays the next day so students can join. Data-driven fencing. Engineers develop motion sensor fencing that opens only for tagged livestock but locks against intruders. Early tests show a 60% reduction in crop damage. These stories reveal not just a battle with an animal, but the resilience of rural America itself. 18. The global mirror. The wild boar crisis is not uniquely American. Australia estimates 24 million feral pigs causing billions in crop losses and threatening the Great Barrier Reef via sediment runoff. Germany and Poland fight outbreaks of African swine fever carried by boars moving across borders. Japan reports boars entering suburban Kyoto train stations in search of food. By studying these regions, U.S. scientists gain insight into integrated control strategies, coordinated national culls, fencing megaprojects, and genetic research, but results remain mixed worldwide. 19. Future frontiers, gene drives and fertility control. Biotechnology offers hope and sparks debate. Researchers explore gene drives, which bias inheritance to reduce fertility. A modified daughterless gene could eventually crash populations by producing mostly males. But ecological ethicists warn of irreversible consequences if the gene escapes to non-target species or migrates across continents. Another avenue, immunocontraception, involves feeding hogs bait laced with fertility-limiting compounds. Early field trials show promise, but delivering doses to entire sounders without harming other wildlife is an unsolved puzzle. Dr. Linfield cautions. Every tool has side effects. We must balance urgency with caution, solve one crisis without igniting another. 20. The human dimension. Behind every statistic lies a family story. In Louisiana's Atchafalaya Basin, shrimper Maria Alvarez spends nights repairing levees after hogs carve through them searching for mussels. They eat our catch before we can harvest, she says. And when storms come, the broken banks flood our homes. In Missouri, Choctaw descendant Henry Whitefeather uses traditional tracking skills to help neighboring farms. My grandparents hunted these animals with dogs and spears. We still do, different tools, same fight. These voices remind us that the struggle is cultural and personal, not just ecological. 21. A call to awareness. Experts agree that without sustained national attention, feral hog populations could double again within a decade, spreading into regions now untouched, the Great Plains wheat belt, the high Rockies, even the colder Northeast. The lesson is clear: complacency feeds the invasion. Landowners must report sightings. States need coordinated funding for rapid response teams. Researchers require steady support for next-generation control methods. Wild boars may never be eradicated, but collective vigilance can prevent catastrophe. Closing scene. As night fades over the Texas Hill Country, mist curls above the river once more. A farmer steps onto his porch, scanning the tree line. Somewhere in the dark, a sounder roots silently. The battle continues, ancient instincts against modern technology, a relentless contest of survival.